I was lucky enough to have art as a subject in school, so that did kind of help me out for my art career. I was one of those that didn't spend any time playing with anyone at break. I was one of those that used to sit around and draw the people playing netball instead of actually being on the court. After studying fine arts at the university, I started doing stained glass as a side course to my painting, and well, there's a story. One day I actually went into the studio and the lecturer said, well, go and help yourself to any piece of glass that you want to use, but make sure you don't break anything. So of course I went in there and I chose the most expensive, largest piece of glass that I could find. And whilst taking this glass out, everyone heard this massive ear-breaking shatter as I dropped this massive sheet of glass on the floor. And he walked in and he just looked at me, and nobody shouted, nobody got angry, and he just looked at me and he said, well, you'll have to use every single piece of this in your next window. And after a very frustrating week of trying to figure out how to use these tiny shards of glass into a design, I was basically hooked. I think stained glass is a pretty open and free medium for expression. So stained glass can go anything from restoration to modern art to new designs. The restoration is actually a bit more intricate, as it does require a lot of pre-work. It needs to be exactly like the old designs. You've got to match the paints, you've got to match the colors and the glass. It's got to look exactly the same as the old designs. A lot of the restoration does require that you use the old techniques. Well, the thing about stained glass that I do love is the fact that it's very traditional. It hasn't been modernized. The only thing I think that's probably modernized is you use electrical soldering irons now and you use electrical kilns. But from the glass cutting to the actual leading and soldering, it's all very much the same as that they did in the 1500s. So it's still very much the very basic traditional techniques. Within a restoration, you'd have any clients from your actual church work to your actual old historical buildings to your normal domestic front door or in-house glass. You'd actually go and assess the damage if it's a restoration. You would assess the damage and the work that needs to be done to restore it. Sometimes it requires that you take the windows out, you'll bring it into the studio and you'll strip the windows down, clean them, and you'll replace all the broken glass. That would sometimes include working with stone, so you do have to have some kind of masonry experience. The glass you buy in colours. You can stain the glass yourself, but you'd normally buy the glass in the different colours. There's specialised glass, anything from bullseye to muffled glass, that gets imported, so we can't actually get those in South Africa. And after you've actually cut the glass into their different, it's like a puzzle almost, the next stage would be the leading. The lead is called a cane, and it's basically an H on its side that would go around each piece of glass, that you would slot the pieces of glass in and then eventually solder each joint. After that, you have to cement the window, which is basically what waterproofs it and makes it a lot more stable, after which it will be cleaned and polished to the final product, which will then be installed in the house. Glass painting is a bit more intricate than the actual stained glass. It's quite a specialized field. There's not many people that do the glass painting, as it does require knowing your paints, and it does require kiln firing. The paints itself normally comes in a powder form, which is normally grounded up glass, some very finely grounded leads, and sometimes even silver that they use in the silver stain, which gives it a lovely amber color. There's probably two things that I love most about stained glass. The one being it being such an intricate process that when it's on the bench you don't always get to see what the final product is, and piecing this beautiful piece together and finally installing it and standing away from it and viewing it for the first time is probably one of the most intense experiences in stained glass. When the light shines through it and the black lines come out, it's quite a spectacular thing to see. And the other thing I love about stained glass is the old beauty of stained glass. When you're standing in a 1500 church and the stained glass has been in there for 600-700 years, and you get to take that out and restore it. It's almost like reliving history.